recording going. And there we go. All right. So I want to welcome everybody who is on the call joining us. Today we're interviewing Syamananda, and really excited about this interview. We've had the opportunity to hear a little bit about him when Sakirati was interviewed last month. And so we know a little bit about your history, but not much. So you'll be able to fill in all the holes. And just to remind everybody that what we're doing here is interviewing devotees in our sanga, and looking at the template that of a hero's journey that Joseph Campbell lays out, and the different stages that a hero goes through in his life to become a hero, from a very ordinary life and all the trials and tribulations that create heroism, and the Sadhaka being the ultimate hero, because the Sadhaka is giving the world a permanent solution rather than just something temporary, which we see from the modern day heroes that are being showcased in our culture. So these are the real heroes, the ones that we've been talking to, and every interview has been very enlivening for me to hear, and just faith building, just hearing how Krishna is there with all of us, you know, in a very special individual way. So welcome, Syamananda, and I'm going to read your little bio to start. So Syamananda was born in 1987 in Gothenburg, Sweden. He's the oldest among 8 siblings, and he had a messy childhood and often changed homes. Music was his main refuge. He moved away from home as soon as he could, which means as soon as he turned 18. Before he left home, he read a book by the Dalai Lama, and he was very impressed. So he started looking for a Tibetan Buddhist community. After a year of attending weekly Buddhist gatherings, he met a couple of devotees in the street and started to spend time with them. After some time in their association, he decided to start practicing bhakti himself and leave Buddhism. Soon after, they opened an ashram together in Gothenburg, where he stayed for 5 years. During the last 3 years living there, because of his interest in studying Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, he was in touch with Srila Tripurari Maharaj and Sri Chaitanya Sangha, which led to his moving to Audarya in 2011. And he stayed there for 6 years, which is probably one of the longest that anyone stayed, where he did daily Go Seva. And in 2017, he met his wife, who he's now married to, Sakirati Devi Dasi. And since then, they have been living in Bulgaria, Madhavan, in Costa Rica, and Sweden. His main interest is to research topics of Gaudiya Vaishnava teachings. And other than that, he studies at the community college. He works on the side as a transcriber, and he spends time with his wife. Good for you. That's lovely. So I'm going to start off by asking you the question I generally start off with. Were there any clues for you, even maybe now looking back, in your childhood growing up, that would indicate that you were meant for spiritual pursuit?
Yeah, maybe not so much looking back, but just like having heard things afterwards. For example, when I met devotees and invited my mom to come to the temple, then she recognized one of the books on the bookshelf we had there, and she said she had bought that book when I was like 6 years old, from a devotee who came to her school, and at that time she had learned, like memorized the Maha Mantra with this classic melody from Prabhupada.
Wow.
And she was chanting it to me sometimes, but I have no memory of this at all.
Wow.
But it must have had some, given some sukriti or something.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really amazing. Yeah, go ahead.
And like otherwise, but things that I do remember was that she was very into New Age, and she still is. So she was teaching us kids about reincarnation and things like that. So that, like, those things I kind of had since my childhood. Like I just like accepted it as it was told to me. But I was I was not really like looking for a spiritual path or anything until I was maybe 16, 17, and started like hearing about Buddhism and Hinduism in school, and I wanted to find out more because it was just attractive to me. And
yeah, well, it seems that your childhood, really set you up to be able to do that. You weren't indoctrinated into something really strict, like a religious practice that, and just you didn't buy into the whole thing, but you had this mother who was just very open to, New Age, which oftentimes is, crosses into the Eastern path. And
yeah.
what about your father? Was he involved at all, or was he out of the picture early on?
He was out of the picture early on. It's not really clear to me, but having like read some old, cause he passed away when I was 6, and when I was clearing out my grandmother's apartment last year, I found some letters that he had written to her, that my father had written to his mother. And it seemed like he was in jail when I was born. So, but yeah, I had to ask my mother about that for clarification, because yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
but that shows something. The type of
The kind of that was part of the messiness of the childhood, was having a father who maybe was less than ideal in his parenting and all of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't have any direct memories of him.
Which often means there was probably trauma. There's a real connection between loss of early childhood memories and having gone through periods of trauma as a child. Yeah. And you're the oldest of eight children, right?
Yeah.
Which is in itself a very ominous position to be in. I mean, you were the role model, and especially given your father's lack of role modeling, did you feel a real responsibility for having to help your siblings?
Yeah, a lot. Like, we don't know. I don't have the same father as any of the others, and neither of them are very good role models either. So, so yeah, it was very much on me to kind of do half of the parenting.
What's the age difference between you and the youngest? Just curious how it.
Let's see, from 87 to 2004, that becomes, is that 16?
17, yes.
17.
Yeah, so that's practically, you could be like the father to the youngest in age. Wow.
That's true. Yeah, she's really cool. My youngest sister. She's I think she turned out to be the kind of the brightest part of the bunch, kind of.
Any interest in your path?
Yeah, like maybe not like interested as in wanting to join or anything, but interest and yeah. I would say I think she's gonna turn to something spiritual sooner or later.
And then the rest of your siblings, not so much, not too.
No, I don't think any of them is into anything spiritual as far as I know. But very sweet people, all of them.
Well, you're like the sandwich, you're the oldest and the youngest, and maybe at some point, they get security anyway, just from having you in their family. So, yeah. So, at what point it sounds like when you were around 16, do you remember what it was that, did you have like was your transition gradual, or was it something sudden where you just all of a sudden started seeing life in a different way, or was it a gradual kind of shifting from material to spiritual interests?
It came through like it came kind of through politics, although I didn't understand politics really, but just there was some riots in Gothenburg in 2001, and I was just very fascinated by it, and just staying in front of the television, looking at the news reports. It was some kind of G8 meeting with there was George Bush and a bunch of those big
politicians out there in the world.
The big leaders were in Gothenburg for some meeting, and there were riots on the main street of Gothenburg, and I was just very and I couldn't tell, but I was just very fascinated, and I just liked seeing it. and so I started to kind of like look into why they were doing what they did, and it's and it was all about like being against corruption and exploitation, and so I was kind of kind of like starting to like form an identity around being against things.
Interesting.
Until I was starting to think like but like what am I for? So I was trying to think that if all those problems in the world would be solved, like then what? So I was trying to kind of figure out what I would like to do if all problems were already solved, and then try to kind of do that already now. That was my idea, kind of. And so then I had this kind of image in my mind of just like some kind of native tribe dancing around a tree. That was just so just some kind of worship. That was what I thought would be.
You got the dancing part, right?
Yeah. I felt that later, like when I saw devotees dancing around Tulsi, that this is kind of what I was trying to get at, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So you didn't freak out when you saw devotees dancing around a tree, which some
No.
people, they come in and go, that's really weird. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that it's very interesting how it, how something, a mundane political situation, sparked, deeper thinking, and it took you from, most people would just kind of stop at a certain point in their thinking process and just be for or against one of the sides, but you took it much deeper, which indicates to me that the spiritual nature was, cultivated from a previous lifetime, and it was that particular situation awakened something that was within you from before. And that's very often what you see with devotees is, so they have the little clues from the childhood, and being put in a family with a mother that was certainly encouraging in the path that for you to explore. You didn't need a mother that told you how to do it, but you just needed a mother to give you kind of permission, because you had it was all there and it just needed to blossom.
Yeah, like she actually thought that like what I was getting into was too strict.
Yeah. Actually, my parents thought that too. I remember I grew up in a Jewish family, and I remember my father saying, I wouldn't have liked it if you would have become an Orthodox Jew either. Just, like, well, what's religion for? It's kind of like, it's just something to have, it's not supposed to be, something you do, you just have it.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you met this, the Tibetan Buddhist community, what was your experience with living with them?
So I was not living with them, or did you say that? No.
Yeah, I did say that. So what was your experience in associating with them?
Yeah. So that was very good, but I was, although I had this idea of like that we should focus on what we are for rather than against, I was disappointed to see that they were not kind of strict about not eating meat. But like other than that, I was very, very happy, like going to their gatherings and meditating and just discussing and reading with them and all that. It was.
Can you describe the meditation you did?
It was silent meditation, of course. So sometimes mantra meditation too, but the main thing was just sitting down, counting your breaths from like 1 to 21, and then start over again, and just kind of look at the floor in front of you.
And what was your experience of doing that? What was it that, and kept you going and kept you doing that?
That's a good question. Maybe it was just the stillness of it. It felt good.
Did you have a very active mind? Did you have like a anxious, active mind? Was that part of it?
Actually, Murli put it in a good way, because he was doing some hypnotherapy on me, and he was saying that my mind doesn't have so much, like there are not so many thoughts going through, but like the thoughts that are there are spinning a lot.
Yes. So just, spinning thoughts, and that would make the thoughts stop, or just
Yeah.
go, you were able to,
Or just like they were not talking about stopping thought there. Like they just said like see your thoughts as clouds passing by and just like let them do that, and it's not not hold on to them. I think I was just also experiencing just joy from practicing the meditation. Like it just like made me joyful in general, and grateful. And I just want to say first that I had one really strong experience there doing a weekend retreat with them. Like we went out in the forest by a lake in a cabin for a silent retreat weekend, and I had brought a book with me about a Tibetan Buddhist practice called Lojong, and there was a warning text on the book saying that like warning, this book is hazardous to your ego.
I like that.
And I just laughed because I thought that they kind of like wrote it like for fun, but although the text was like totally serious, like there was like nothing like humorous about the design of the book or anything. It was just like a very serious book, and it said that. And so I was reading that in the weekend there, and I remember just waking up. I think I woke up like in the middle of the night or something, or maybe just early morning, just like in horror, just like because I had like a kind of like a flash insight that the world doesn't revolve around me, and it just like struck me, and I was just like in shock kind of, and then like when the whole thing was over, I was just like wondering what to like do next, and I just figured, well, I just have to go on, I guess, just go on practicing. This is it's just the way it is.
And did you have a sense of some end goal in mind? Or so many different Buddhist practices, and I've heard a lot of different, we're trying to develop universal compassion, or we're trying to extinguish the ego, and we're trying to extinguish the self. I mean, you hear all different levels of it.
Yeah, so they were not talking about extinguishing the self. And a funny thing was that like I had heard from my mom these kind of Advaitin ideas that we are all actually the same person. She was telling me. Like it, like I can tell a funny story about that later also. But yeah, she was telling me that we are all the same person. So I was trying to like to like meditate on that, like while being sitting on the bus or something. Like, wow, like all these people is actually me. How freaky. So then I told like the kind of, there was like one kind of elderly lady there in the Buddhist sanga who was the kind of like the old wise person in the group there. She's like, I still feel now that she must have been some kind of saint, or if she might still be alive, but she just had a very I don't know how to explain it, but she was special. So I just like told her about this, like that this is so interesting that we're all the same person, and she told me, not like, that's not true. that's a misunderstanding. And she was explaining how each person is like a jewel, something like that, and so they didn't really have this like void or complete oneness idea, but more about this universal compassion Tibetan type Buddhism. So for like an end goal, I'm not sure if I learned about the bodhisattva vow back then, but maybe something like that you just
keep coming back until
keep coming back and help others.
Everybody's
Yeah.
liberated, which
will never happen. So it's a nice life.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, mindfulness. I mean, all those things can be very useful and helpful for living in a more mode of goodness kind of situation, and even some transcendent experiences. I kind of started off too with more, Buddhist mindfulness practices.
Yeah.
So then you met devotees, and it somehow, what was it about what the devotees had to offer you that would pull you away from your bliss and nirvana?
Yes. Yes. So like I said, I was feeling like joyful from the practice, from the Buddhist practice, and I was feeling, like I said, I was feeling so grateful, and I was wondering where I should direct this gratefulness. Like who should I be grateful to? Like for like that was the
nice question.
So I was trying to think, okay, like I can be grateful to my parents, like who gave me this life, and but like then I thought, but like they're like it's not really their credit entirely, because they were born from their parents, so maybe I can be grateful to them. So I was just kind of going back, like like this kind of infinite reverse.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, I guess it has to be somehow God in the end. So I just I just like looked up in the sky and said, "Thank you, God," and that's like all I could think of. And sometime after that, I met a devotee for the first time here in Gothenburg, just on the street. They're like out selling books and comic books and prasadam and things. And the first time, like the first two times, I didn't get any contact information. Like the first time, someone was trying to sell me some like chocolate balls or something like that. There was prasadam, but I said it was vegan. So he just gave me an apple, and just went away. So I got the apple, and but like no contact information or anything. And then the second time I bought a comic book, and I was really impressed. And but also that time there was no contact information, I think, or it was outdated or whatever. But the third time I was more like trying to ask like where they live, and if I can just go and live with them, because it just seemed like even if like we weren't practicing the same thing, it just seemed like we were. It'll be nice to have to like live in a community of people like that. was my idea, and I was having this idea of just like staying with them and having my own Buddhist corner in their house. And that time, like that time when I actually started to like talk with them more, we were on the bus. Like one of them was taking a bus, so we were taking the bus in the same direction. So we got on, and one other devotee was already on the bus, and he was reading Guru Maharaj's Tattva Sandarbha.
There we go. That's where the connection came.
Yes. And also like another connection I've made afterwards was that this book that my mom bought when I was a kid was The Science of Self-Realization, which was compiled by Guru Maharaj.
I didn't know that. You compiled that book, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting.
So this devotee who was reading the Tattva Sandarbha, he just like told me like this book explains how you can know what is how you can know what is true or something like this. Like he was trying to explain to me like kind of like define epistemology to me, something like how you can know what you know or something like that. And I was just fascinated, of course, and so then I started visiting them. They were like living out in the countryside and coming into the city every day to sell things to be able to like open a center eventually in the city. So they brought me to a devotee festival in Germany, and this was like around Christmas of 2005. To see their guru, and I was not impressed by him, but I was very attached to them, so I took initiation of him later. But at that time I was still identifying as a Buddhist, so I was just like coming along as a tourist or what to call it. But I remember that they were installing a Mahaprabhu deity at that time, and I was still a vegan, and this same devotee who was reading the Tattva Sandarbha on the bus, he woke me up in the middle of the night when they were having this deity installation, because I went to bed early. But he came with the nectar from the Abhishek,
right,
the Charnamrita, and he woke me up at midnight and just told me that even though I'm vegan, like I have to drink this because this will.
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, right? Tested now.
Yeah, he said like I have to drink this now because this will like free me from so many rebirths or something like that. He was trying to. So anyway, I drank it, and
wow, that was it. Broke through.
Yes. And but I was still like walking around there, like in the temple, but like chanting my Buddhist mantras on my mala, and to kind of make the point that I'm not one of them. But there was one day there that one other Swedish devotee just like asked me like as if I'm stupid, like why not just try like chanting the Maha mantra. So I was like, okay, so that was my first round of Maha mantra I did in my mala there. And
first they got you to break your vow of being a vegan, and then they brought you to break your vow of doing your Buddhist mantras and to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Good job, guys. You were ready. Krishna definitely got you to the point where you were able to do those things. Nice. Yeah, so then you, after that, somehow you ended up in Odaria. So is that on the top of a Sandarbha that you, was that the trail?
Yeah. Yeah, it was all they were in general appreciative of Guru Maharaj, and there was at one point, like the point, like when I started like studying his books and like sanga newsletters and things, was when like I just come to a verse in the Bhagavad Gita of Prabhupada, because like we were studying a lot at the ashram, and I had come. I was reading through Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita maybe 3 times, and I remember there was one time where I came to a verse that didn't make sense to me. So I asked if there's any. So I was like looking in the bookshelf, and they had Guru Maharaj's Bhagavad Gita there also. So I asked them if that copy, if that edition is as bona fide as Prabhupada's, and they immediately, yeah.
Wow.
So
That's amazing.
yeah, so I read his commentary to that verse. It was somewhere in the 18th chapter, I think, and it just like made sense right away. So then from that time, I started like reading his things, and like subscribing to the Sangha newsletter, and always being feeling very nourished, and then I went to Vrindavan in 2007 for Kartik, and Guru Maharaj was there for 10 days or so.
Did you know he was going to be there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was very excited about it. And so I was he was going to he was going to kind of attend a few of the talks of my Guru Maharaj, but of course he would also be like I knew he was that he would speak also. So I usually the guest speakers were not on the Vyasasan, because like it seemed like there was only space for one, but I kind of arranged it so that they would both sit on the same.
Oh, nice.
On the same Vyasasan. So that's where I heard like the first kind of live lectures by Guru Maharaj, and was very felt very it was like resonating, and I was feeling like this is not sure how to word it. It's like this is me. This is that was how I felt. And I was also serving him lunch one day there, which was very intense because it was under the direction of my guru at that time. Like he was telling me how to serve, like as I was serving, and I was doing mistakes and things like that. So it was like I was very, very nervous, but it was very like intense and blissful at the same time. And I was taking the Mahaprasadam afterwards, and so
wow. I mean, that's pretty amazing that you came under the shelter of a guru who was favorable to Guru Maharaj, because there's not too many of them.
No.
That would have, even let him speak at this, and wow, and to have served him like that, that's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to stop you from developing some affection and developing attachment to him, it sounds like.
Yeah, at least not at that time.
No, yeah, it's almost like he was facilitating it at that time.
Yeah, but yeah. But like the kind of friction came later on when I when I wanted to like go and join Guru Maharaj. Because that's a different thing.
Okay, it was okay if we were just a spectator.
Yeah. But so the year after, so in 2008, I was getting more and more into Guru Maharaj, and it was at the same time, there was another god sibling who was getting into another guru. So I took the chance to like ask Guru Maharaj like what to do in such a case, like asking for a friend here. Like what to like do if you're feeling attraction to another sadhu than your own Diksha guru. So so he was saying that you should, a good student will make the best of his circumstances. So you should digest the grass, like even if there might be greener grasses elsewhere, you should digest the grass where you are. He told me. So I took that to heart, thinking that maybe if I just like really sincerely like digest the grass, I would either be sent to where I belong later on, or I would actually realize that I actually belong where I am. I just have to like go deeper in where I am. So I was open to either destiny, so to speak. And around that time, a Swedish disciple of Guru Maharaj invited me on this old Tattva Viveka forum that we had back in the days. That doesn't seem to exist anymore, sadly.
They tried different ways to
revive
it.
Yeah. So I got very active there, like participating in discussions and asking Guru Maharaj things, and so after like a couple of years of that, I think Guru Maharaj like saw, like, because I think he figured out that I was the same person who had asked, who had like written that email, and so he was very like funny. After 2.5 years, he replied again to the same email. And that I'd sent
back and found that email after 2.5 years. That's impressive.
Yeah. And so he wrote me, like I think your friend should just like go for it, like.
That is hysterical. That is really funny. I love it. And that was also just like very synchronic, like that because I got that email like the day after I had done like I don't know how to explain that, but I had done a letter writing meditation about my life, kind of, and on the kind of I wouldn't say instruction, but it was a friend of mine who could see that I was like holding back a lot of suffering. So he had suggested this, to like write a letter and then just kind of pretend sending it. So it was the day after I did that I got this email from Guru Maharaj. So I saw the correlate, that it was some kind of release and some kind of new, like making some space for something new. Wow. So Guru Maharaj was so we started to correspond. This was in 2010, and he asked me, like, tell me what is your seva dream, and I will help you realize it. And and I took like 3 weeks passed without me answering, because I was getting kind of mental, trying to figure out exactly what my seva dream is. Oh, what a great
So,
question.
yeah, and also like especially.
I'm very anxious to hear the reply that you gave him after, what was it, 3.5 weeks?
Like, and also especially Sakyarati knows that I really take time answering emails. Like she will like have to like push me all the time to write to people.
Is that because you're very thoughtful about your response and you don't?
Yeah, exactly. I could like I could just like go on thinking forever without writing anything. I can hear her laughing out here. Yeah, so the very sweet thing was that after 3 weeks, Guru Maharaj just sent me another email, just saying, "A penny for your thoughts." So then I just like, okay, I just gotta like come out with something. So I just said, I want to go to Audarya.
Wow. Wow.
And
when
yeah.
you said it, when you wrote that, did it feel really like you were jumping off a cliff, or you were doing what was the feeling that went with it?
No, I was saying it kind of with like relief, because I think like I realized that I was trying to kind of create my seva dream to kind of have it like be what I thought it would be like to go to Audarya, but without going to Audarya. Like trying to
and why yes, so what was the hesitation of going to Audarya at that point?
It was probably that my guru wouldn't be very appreciative of hearing that.
Perfect answer. Okay.
Yeah. And also like the reason I wanted to go there was that was like the description of Audarya that was on swami.org, because it's that like website is gone now, or they totally changed the contents, but it was like the way Guru Maharaj like wrote it like sounded exactly like what I had experienced in Vrindavan, with how every day is kind of the same, but it just kind of day after day you kind of go into eternity. Yeah. And yeah, that was it's very I think he like I think he was like really describing Audarya from his perspective, like from his inner perspective of feeling, and that made me think that if I just go there, it's going to be like that. And I was thinking that I would just go there and kind of plug in, and that's it. Like I'm done.
Well, I'm kind of getting the sense that didn't quite work out in exactly that way, and you're gonna tell us a little bit about the messiness, I guess, that you might have experienced there.
Yeah, I mean there's basically 6 years of inner messiness, but but also I could also say something about like asking my guru, asking my former guru for permission to go, because that was also kind of like a fun part, because Guru Maharaj instructed me that if my guru has anything against me going, that I should see it simply as my guru trying to test my resolve.
Interesting. Wow.
So that was kind of fun. Like, it was kind of like funny having that kind of kind of like naughty perspective, actually, from Guru Maharaj. Yeah, so I did that, and I kind of got a reluctant blessing from my guru to go, to kind of go and like try it out, sort of like to see if I if it works for me there, and for like 3 or 6 months, and so I asked if like what if I want to stay longer, and then he just said, well, if it's what Krishna wants, he finally said. So but yeah,
that's pretty amazing. Again, even reluctantly, giving you permission. A pretty unusual response from the guru in ISKCON, and so fascinating to me.
So I guess like what didn't happen when going there was that I would just have like kind of free inspiration, so to speak. Like I would really have to keep working to stay motivated, and it really felt like all going uphill, basically. I mean, so of course, sometimes I had those experiences that kind of make it worth it, and then you go on, and
right.
But it was all
it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, so it was not like just going on a water slide or something. It was
no. Like climbing the K2 mountain, You go up a little bit, and then there's storms, you got to come back down, and then you go up again, and yes. So you want to share any of that time that and how you got through those times, because 6 years is a long time. Your guru said 3 to 6 months, and you could have easily have just said, this is enough, I've tried it out, it doesn't quite work for me. Because in some ways you could say it wasn't working for you in the way that you had envisioned. So what enabled you to stay for 6 years?
I actually like initially actually stubbornness, which actually can be useful sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it kind of came to a point where I really like, after 6 months I actually really wanted to leave, and but then I just I was kind of going back and forth, and I think I actually even had a ticket out to go, but I then I was talking. Guru Maharaj was at Madhuban at that time, and we were talking on Skype. Like when I had already decided, and then, but then like changed my mind again. Then Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, like I decided to leave and then changed my mind, talked to Guru Maharaj on Skype. So then it came to like telling my former guru like again that I'm actually going to stay. Then he was very not liking that idea. But saying but like telling me that like you're like clearly not like suited for it, and actually he was right. But I really wanted to prove him wrong.
Wow.
So I think it was kind of that stubbornness that
very interesting. Yeah.
So
he was testing your resolve ultimately, Guru, right? On the ultimate scheme of it, Krishna did arrange it in that way. Because he was really he helped you to have more resolve, and to that's fascinating. That's really so he acted in your best interest in that scenario. Wow.
Yes.
So you went through a lot, and it sounds like it was a lot of more internal kind of struggles,
yes.
External struggles, and just being able to stay motivated. I mean, that's hard. It's hard to, get up every day and do the same thing. It's like, I know a lot of devotees who had, like very steady kind of seva, like deity worship, and they were always moving from temple to temple because, they needed the variety, they needed the excitement, and that, they weren't ready for that, just every day the same. And your internal life would be carrying you into deeper and deeper places. And then there would be the internal excitement of life. So so that at the stage you were at, you were really needing more of that. It sounds like you needed more of the excitement, the variety, but somehow you stuck with it. Your stubbornness and you wanting to prove your guru wrong for 6 years. So then what happened? How did you finally come to the conclusion that you were ready for a change?
Yeah, so that came when I the year before I left, and I was not like leaving to like I had to leave because of like a visa issue, but I was happy that I had to. Like it's kind of like that has happened several times, that I'm kind of hoping that God would just like make it in a way that I would have to do what I actually want to do.
Yes, I know it well.
But the year before, so in 2016, which like I left in 2017. So in 2016, it came to a point where I was unable at one point to even I had my main services, and I had been asked to do some very easy minor extra services. It was like really nothing that would have taken any like energy or anything from it. It was just like watering some plants or something like that. It was just some very simple menial task, and I was just like not able to keep it up. so some plants were wilting, and I just felt like what is wrong with me? Like I just can't do, like, I don't know, like I just can't do this. And I started feeling this urge to, like, I had heard of is it the Mormon? No, who is it that has this? Not the Amish.
Yeah,
It's the Amish who has this thing where you go out for some years and then you decide if you want to come back or not. And I just thought that sounded like a great idea.
yeah. They say the girls always bring them back.
Okay.
The Amish thing.
Oh, that actually worked in my case too. So that's funny. I never heard that. Yes. So, but I was really at the same, like, I wanted this kind of that they call it the rumspringa. They call it in the Amish. So I was really desiring something like that. And at the same time, I was really perplexed, like, that I couldn't, like, perform these easy services that I had been given. So I was really praying. I think maybe one of my most sincere prayers ever was just just like asking, like, what's wrong with me? And very soon after that, Sakirati came into my life. So I saw her as like, I hadn't really asked for, like, please send someone who can explain to me what's wrong with me, but
that was Krishna's answer.
Yeah. Exactly. And she's very I say she has a very good insight about, like, when she sees someone, she can tell something about them. So we were in touch for like a year, and so that was from like late 2016, and then I left in May the next year to go to Sweden for the visa things. Then I went to Costa Rica while I was waiting for the visa process. Then back to Sweden, and yeah. So that, but then I together with some kind of self-sabotage and providence mixed up, so that I ended up kind of having to go to Bulgaria and see Sakirati. And yeah, and the rest is history.
Yeah, so she's really been helpful, it sounds like, at this time of your life, and just kind of what you needed. And because of your stubbornness, you may not have ever have admitted, or but Krishna just created the circumstances in such a way, which he always does. It's like we think we have so much control over our lives, but there's so much going on behind the scenes to take us in the direction that we really need. And you had that wonderful foundation of years of celibate monastic life, and wow, how much that has served you, even though it was really difficult. I do see it, like, when Guru Maharaj talks about that, climbing up to the top of the mountain to get to Nishta, and it's hard, it's arduous, and so much, the narrativ's coming out, and the mind, and all the challenges that we go through during that stage. And then when you get to to the top of the mountain. He says, you just kind of roll down the other side. So it's, I mean, he's already done that and he's given us, he's been the role model to know that it's possible and we can go there and we can do that.
Mm.
So really beautiful. And you know what? You talked over an hour.
Yeah, I realize that now.
That was wonderful. And you did it very, it was very easy and it was great. So I do want to, if there are any things that you'd like to share to kind of wrap up as far as something you'd like to give everybody, that something that you've really, the gems that you've mined from your years so far as a sadhaka, and what you'd like to share at the, condensed version of it. Get married when you're having trouble.
No, I don't know, because I think I feel like it's good to actually try to be stubborn for as long as you can, but then not longer than that.
Yes, and how do you know when it's not longer? What's that? What's the breaking point? How do you know that you're at a point where it's no longer serving your best interest?
Wow, that's a good question. When you mature, Sakirati says. So I guess you can be stubborn without maturing for a while, but then maybe the stubbornness will, yeah. But so, will you mature from being stubborn? She doesn't know.
And that's okay. These things, a lot of times these questions are things thought-provoking, and you can, let it kind of marinate and, share it at another point in time. I mean, it's a journey. So should we give people an opportunity to ask questions? Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Let's see, does anybody have a question that they would like to ask at this time?
I have a question.
Oh.
Okay.
Which is more a request. Like, if you could share with us the story about when you and Gokula Chandra drive the car without drive license for the sake of Guru Maharaj. I mean, for the surrender that you have to Guru Maharaj.
Can you repeat the question to Syamananda for the Facebook devotees?
Yes. So my wife is asking me if I can tell the story about when me and Gokula Chandra drove a car in service, although none of us have a driver's license. But I wonder if it's...
Oh yeah, maybe it's not the case to say it, right?
Yeah, she's saying that maybe she's kind of saying what I'm thinking now, that maybe it's not
the place to
not for public. Maybe it's not for public consumption. But
just writing a message, he will answer.
Okay, so if anyone wants to hear the story of me and Gokula Chandra driving in service,
contact you at.
Yes, but I can't tell it in public, I think.
So you'll have to contact, have a private, just if you're, on Facebook or something.
Yes, it was an emergency situation.
Right, and emergency measures are needed for emergency times, but not to have them be, generalized to every circumstance. And well, this happened to Syamananda and Gokulananda, so we can do it.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't dare recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, it actually happened to my husband one time when they were driving, they were doing cross country Sankirtan, and one of the devotees left, and he and this other devotee were the only two that knew how to drive. And there's only one other devotee that knew how to drive, and he couldn't do all the driving. My husband didn't have it. He'd never driven. He was in his 30s and he didn't have a license, but he got, it was a stick shift van, and he got in it and he learned to do it. And I was like, oh my God, the crazy things we used to do. But yeah, those kind of stories are fun to tell in private. Anybody else have a question? Anybody from the Spanish side? Have any questions over there, Akura? Sivanidhi? Okay. I see Sivanidhi's coming onto the screen. Do you have a question?
Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't press English. Maybe that's
Oh yeah, Sivanidhi, on the little translator ball down at the bottom, if you click on English and mute the original audio, we'll probably be able to hear you.
Ball.
No, maybe not.
Can you hear me?
Because he has his mic on.
Yeah. I just like to
talking,
add
we're not
was
hearing him.
Buddha avatar. It was the verse from the
Yeah, well, he's not, he's got a red connection now.
I
That's
third
probably
chapter.
what it is.
I can
You
hear
Oh.
can hear him. Okay.
Okay.
Sivanidhi.
Yeah, so that means he didn't.
again.
Yes.
Yes, can you repeat the
I-
question?
Well, he's on, he's got a red connection.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I just wanted to share the morning when he came to stay in our ashram, and we were moving in the Bhagavatam one verse every morning, and the very verse on that first morning was a Buddha avatar verse. So it was clearly speaking to Syamananda coming as a Buddhist to to our temple. Yeah, it was great times. Thank you for this beautiful interview to both.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I totally forgotten that, but now that you say it, I remember. So Sivanidhi was the second devotee I ever met.
Wow. Wow.
That's
He
was the second devotee I
Wonderful. So we're getting not a good connection. Yeah, we're getting where it's a bad connection. So we will, I guess we should probably, unless there's any last minute questions, we should probably wrap up. Anyway, that was a beautiful interview. I hope you felt comfortable, and it was
yeah, it was fine.
it was fun. It was good. So yeah, I was just gonna say for next week, next month, actually, let's see, we have Attila Shakti is going to be interviewed next week, and Madan Gopal will be the interviewer. I'm actually going to be taking off the month of September. I'm moving to Alachua, Florida, which I'm
Wow.
it's a big change. And so Madan's going to be filling in for the month. And so I hope everybody will continue to get on to the interviews, and I'll be watching them. And really glad we got to do this interview today. Really appreciated it a lot. And yeah, and I look forward to meeting all these wonderful devotees in person. It's actually, really hard to think, wow, maybe I'll never see these people in person, but Zoom, it's almost like being in person. Close. All right, my dear devotees. Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Haribol.